The Singapore government responded on Friday evening to Mr. Lee Hsien Yang's call for the demolition of 38 Oxley Road, the family home of Singapore's late founding Prime Minister, Lee Kuan Yew. The government described LHY's claim for immediate demolition, in accordance with his father's will, as inaccurate, and criticized him for creating a false urgency surrounding the issue. LHY, the youngest son of LKY, earlier called on Prime Minister Lawrence Wong to make an immediate decision, citing his father's 2013 will, which stated the house should be demolished once it was no longer occupied by Dr. Lee Wei Ling. Dr. Lee, the only remaining resident, passed away on 9 October 2024. According to a government spokesperson from the Ministry of Digital Development and Information, LKY had accepted that the house might be preserved, noting that he submitted redevelopment plans for 38 Oxley Road in 2012, which were approved by the Urban Redevelopment Authority. The spokesperson noted that in submitting these plans, LKY was proceeding on the basis that preservation might ultimately be chosen. While the government acknowledged that LKY's preference was for the property to be demolished, it argued that he had accepted it might not be, and he had also given input on how the property should be preserved if that course were taken. The NDDI spokesperson reiterated an allegations that LHY and his wife, Mrs. Lee Hsien Yang, had influenced the final will with unseemly haste in 2013, bypassing LKY's longtime lawyer, possibly impacting the final demolition directive. In 2020, LSF was also found guilty of misconduct concerning her involvement with the will. The MDDI spokesperson added that Singaporeans hold varied views on the fate of the property, and many would prefer to put questions around LKY's will and the future of the house behind them and move forward. While accusing LHY of creating a false urgency, the MDDI spokesperson stated that the government, in contrast, aims to keep all options open, including full or partial demolition or preservation of the property. Instead of closing all options now, we should keep the options open and consider them carefully, in the fullness of time, taking into account Mr. LKY's wishes, the historical value of the site, and what it can mean for current and future generations of Singaporeans. Notably, following the government's statement, LHY commented on a CN Facebook post, reiterating his call for Prime Minister Wong to take immediate action on 38 Oxley Road. He reminded Mr. Wong of his previous roles in overseeing LKY's legacy. Mr. Wong, who was Minister for Culture, Community and Youth in 2015, had played a role in displaying LKY's furniture and artifacts at the National Museum, and had called for fidelity to the values and ideals of the founding generation. LHY further argued that Wong's current indecision was inconsistent with those ideals and accused the government of delaying the issue unnecessarily. The fate of 38 Oxley Road has long been a contentious issue, particularly within the Lee family and among Singapore's political leadership. In his final will, LKY made it clear that the house should be immediately demolished once Dr. Lee no longer lived there. Despite this, members of the People's Action Party, including senior cabinet members, attempted to halt plans for demolition, citing the need to study various options, particularly in light of the public dispute between LHY, Dr. Lee, and former Prime Minister Lee Hsien Yang in 2017. Publicly, however, PAP leaders have made their intention clear. They wish to preserve the house due to its symbolic value as the residence of Singapore's founding Prime Minister, even though LKY had expressed a preference for its demolition. This has led to a prolonged debate between the family and the government, with LHY and his sister Dr. Lee, even in her passing, arguing in favor of respecting their father's wishes. The NHB's decision to launch a new study on the preservation of 38 Oxley Road has added fuel to the controversy. The move comes despite a comprehensive 2018 report that had already examined the house's potential historical and architectural significance. This has led to skepticism about the necessity of yet another study, with pundits suggesting that it may be a delaying tactic by the government to avoid making a final decision that goes against popular opinion ahead of the upcoming general election. Mr. Wong, who succeeded Lee Hsien Yang in 2024 as Prime Minister, now faces the responsibility of addressing this sensitive issue. His leadership will be scrutinized not only for how he navigates the wishes of the Lee family, but also for how he manages the delicate balance between heritage preservation and personal legacies. As the debate intensifies, LHY's public appeal to Wong places pressure on the government to resolve the matter. With the upcoming general election scheduled by November 2025, the issue of 38 Oxley Road is likely to become even more politically charged, testing the leadership's ability to make a decisive and transparent resolution. For now, LHY has made his stance clear. The time for a decision is now, and further delays would dishonor the wishes of Singapore's founding Prime Minister.